So, good afternoon, ma'am. Our topic for today is Standard English and review on grammar rules. So, first, ano nga ba ang grammar? So, grammar is a particular analysis of the system and structure of language or of a specific language. So, alam po naman natin no, kung ano yung grammar. So, ito yung yung mga words by words na nai-struct tsaka nagiging grammar. So, yun. So, next tayo is the standard English. So, standard English is the English that with respect to spelling, grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary is substantially uniform though not devoid of regional differences that is well established by the usage in the formal and informal speech and writing of the educated and that is widely recognized as acceptable wherever English is spoken and understood. So dito naman po is alam po naman natin na ang English ay hindi basta-basta. Hindi basta-basta na basta-basta ka na lang magko-construct ng language, 'di ba? Ay mga words. So syempre sisiguraduhin mo tama yung grammar, yung spellings, the pronunciation, and yes, of course, especially the pronunciation kasi may mga ibang tao na may misunderstood kasi iba yung pagka-pronounce, di ba? So, next is the vocabulary. Yes, kailangan, for example, isa kang politician or something na may forum sa, tapos, yung mga audience mo is, for example, malalaki sila, mas may mga edukado din. So, syempre, ili-level mo kung ano yung kaya ng mga audience mo. For example, di ba, may mga edukado yung mga mo. So, pwede ka nang gumamit ng mga malalalim na salita. Mga English na, yes, gano'n. Next tayo is we have 8 lesson in chapter 6, 8 lesson, writing standard English grammar, help and review. So first, we have the identifying errors in sentence is structured. So, sentence structured follows particular rules to convey the intended meaning and can miscommunicate when errors occur. So, first, we define what is sentence structure. So, sentence structure can be thought of as the rules that govern the structures of written sentence. So, in other words, sentence structures is how you build sentence like that. So, di ba? So, sabi niya dito is sentence structures is vital in writing. Any piece of writing needs to be clear so that others can understand. So, communication is the whole point of the written word. Sentence word. So, sentence structures give clear expectation for how sentence must be formed so that other can easily read and understand your writing. So, let's look. So, di ba, ganun yun? Kasi, syempre, kung mag-instruct ka ng sentence, so, kailangan, malinaw, tama yung mga spellings, the grammar is correct, the pronunciation, mga ganun. So, para hindi maiwasan. So, dito, sabi niya, kung paano maiiwasan yun, paano malalaman kung ano yung mga common errors to avoid making common errors. So, we have a subject-verb agreement. So, alam naman po natin ang subject-verb agreements, perhaps the most basic rule when it comes to sentence structures is subject-verb agreement. So, remember, a subject is the person or object doing the action in the sentence. So, and a verb is the action word, di ba? For example, in this sentence, so, Sally throws a temper tantrum every night. So, Sally is the person, which is, siya, diba? Sally is the person doing the action, and so, in the subject. So, throws, yung throws po is the action, and so is the verb. So, yung subject, which is Sally, and the action word, or verb is throws, diba? So, subject-verb agreements is the idea that the verbs must agree with the subject. So, in other words, the verb must change form to match the subject. So, di ba ganon? Kung ano yung, dapat yung mag-agree yung verb nandun sa sentence, dun sa subject. So, next tayo is, the second one is, the identifying subject-verb agreement. So, dito naman po is, alam po naman natin na kung ano yung subject-verb agreement. So, here naman po is, so dito sabi niya, sometimes to make sure that your written sentence correctly, you'll have to connect the dots between certain parts of the sentence, even if those parts are right next to each other. So, sabi dito, identifying subject-verb agreement is when the subject in a sentence connects to the motion in the sentence in numerical value. So, meaning, they both singular or both plural. So, alam naman po natin kung ano yung subject, which is of the sentence is what the sentence is about. So, it usually, though not always, so perform the action of the verb. So, alam din po natin kung ano yung verb. A verb is an action word or expresses an action or occurrence. So, dito naman po is, kung ano po yung mga, so, yun, sabi niya dito, simple sentence and compound subject. So, it's not too tough to make subjects and verbs agree in a basic sentence with a simple subjects. For example, in the sentence, sabi niya sa example, my flight leaves in an hour. So, the subject is flight. And is singular, and the verb is leaves is singular as well. So we have agreement. So in the sentence, my friends go to school there. So the subject is friends. Ito yung pinagkaiba naman. The subject is friends, is plural, and the verb is go. It's plural too. So dapat sa paggamit ng subject-verb agreement, dapat connected sa subject or may yung hindi siya lalayo dun sa subject na ginamit niya. So, next tayo is, the third one is the identifying errors in agreement for nouns and pronouns. So, agreement in grammar exists when words are consistent across tenses and context. So, dito naman po is, sabi niya dito, agreement, imagine if all people individually chose how to form and utilize a language. That language would be drastically different from city to city, town to town, street to street, and even house to house. So, kung titingnan natin yung pagkakaiba, yung pag iniba-iba or iba-iba ang mga pag-struct ng mga sentences. So, for example, magkikita-kita kayo or dumayo ka sa isang lugar, so magkakaroon ng conflict or magkakaroon ng errors doon sa mga pinaggamit-gamit. So, sabi dito, so in this circumstance, would you be able to communicate with the people in your community? So, most likely not, sabi niya. So, our language has developed many rules in order to prevent that kind of chaos from happening. So, these guidelines are imperative in order for communication to actually occur. So, ito yung so, sabi niya, one aspect of those rules deals with agreement is in grammar. Yes, in grammar. So, yun naman talaga yung pinaka number one. Una, so, in grammar, agreement refers to words that change for depending on other words in the sentences. So, many times, natural speakers have been so immersed in a language that they can easily identify when agreement goes wrong. So, di ba? Syempre, may mga ganun na, circumstances na mali. So, dito, sabi niya, pronoun agreement. For this lesson, we will focus on agreement between noun and pronoun. So, alam na, yung, sa number 3 nga naman. So, all pronouns must agree with their antecedents. So, remember, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of noun. So, and antecedent is the noun that is replaced. These two sentences show how we use pronouns to replace antecedent and simplify sentences. So, alam naman natin kung ano yung noun is a name of place, event, etc. So, for example dito, sabi niya, the girl was playing with a basketball. And yung ano niya, antecedent niya or yung pinalitan is ganito yung sentence na. She threw it at her sister. So, the second sentence is full of pronouns. What words were placed in the second sentence? So, yung she, the word she replaced the word girl. And the word basketball replaced by it. So, thus girl and basketball are antecedent for the pronouns she and it. Oh, di ba? Oo, antecedent yun. So, next naman, for other example, yung sa she, pwede siyang palitan ng her or, ayun, her. So, in other pronoun that also refers to the girl. So, tama, yan. Kahit ano yung, basta connected sa girl. So, the two pronouns she and her both have the antecedent girl. So, without pronouns, these sentences would read, pag wala daw yung pronouns, the girl was playing with the basketball. The girl threw the basketball at the girl's sister. So, andun yung word na repetitive. Yung parang paulit-ulit, yung, ang pangit naman tingnan nyo sa isang sentence, di ba? Kung paulit-ulit. So, next naman, yun yung mga common errors na nakikita sa paggamit ng nouns and pronouns. So, dito naman is, sa 4, pang 4 po tayo is the how to identify errors in adjectives, adverbs, nouns, and agreement. So, dito po is, to share a message resonates with readers, written communication must be free of mistakes. So, di ba alam naman natin yung sentences are the building blocks of our written language. So, in order for sentences to actually be effective, they must be built in a specific manner. So, one aspects or building sentences is agreement. Siyempre, dun yung mag-umpisa lahat. Diba? Kaya nga meron tayong international language, which is English. So, basically, agreement refers to the specific types of word that must match or agree with other types of words. So, tama naman yun. So, dyan po, dito rin, gagamitan siya ng, subject-verb agreement, na dapat, para hindi tayo magkakalito-lito. So, sabi niya dito, wala pala. So, pwedeng gamitin ng ng singular subjects, plural subjects, para, kasi, kung hindi tayo magkakaroon ng agreement sa language, so, di ba meron yung magkakalabuan, magkakaroon misinterpret, minsan yung resulta ng misunderstanding ng isang tao sa isang tao is away, ganun. So, kailangan to ng ganun, ma-identify kung ano yung mga errors. So, next tayo is sense agreement. So, ito naman, tayo agreement para avoiding faulty collective ownership. So, an improperly written sentence may imply multiple people own single thing when they each own separate things. So, dito naman po is ownership, identify, here's the problem with the sentence. So, it's an error to use wording that suggests that a lot of people own or use just one thing when really they all own or use their own separate thing. So, common sense tell us that it will never be the case that a whole room full of students will be crowded around one sheet of paper on one desk. So, taking one test, but our sentence from earlier said that all students will be taking their test. So, wala pala yun. So, dito po sa sentence agreement, avoiding faulty collective ownership. So, dito po yung parang avoid natin yung magsasarili, yung ownership na word, yung minsan wag tayong bumase sa ating sariling isipan kasi nagkakaroon ng grammatical error na gano'n. Kaya, pwede rin tayong humingi ng tulong kung hindi natin talaga kaya. Humingi tayo ng tulong sa may mga, expert, use Google, gano'n. So, avoid yun para hindi tayo magkaroon ng errors. And, sa number 6 tayo, pang-anim tayo sa... So, dito naman po is, how to identify errors in comparison, correlation, and parallelism. So, yung comparison po is, sabi niya dito, comparison is the first area that can affect sentence structures is comparison. In the broad sense of the word, comparison is grammar refers to showing similarities or differences in degree between two objects or ideas. So, sabi niya is the two main forms of comparisons are comparative and superlative. So, you need to know that comparative deals with comparing only two objects or ideas, where superlative is compares three or more. So, next tayo is parallelism. Parallelism is once you have checked your writing for comparison errors, you need to be sure to pay attention to parallelism. Within grammar, parallelism means that all parts or words in the sentence have the same form. Yung parang may ganun dito. Basta, connect yan. So, second to the last is the identifying errors or verb tense. So, alam naman po natin kung ano yung verb is the action word. So, knowledge of grammar, rules, and the 6 verbs tenses is key to written being able to identify errors, and sentence consistently verb tense refers to the time action. So, sabi dito is verb tense error. Sometimes people make errors in their writing because they never quite learn particular grammar rules. So, sometimes people make errors in their writing because they're trying to express such complicated ideas. It becoming tough to express those ideas clearly. So, and sometimes people make errors in their writing because they're just get a little bit sloopy. So, dito, yung verbs tenses, diba? Kasi nagkakaroon ng, yung parang tense, yung problem, kasi you're no doubt familiar with the present, past, future tenses of verb. So, as a reminder, sabi nga dito, a verb is a word that expresses an action or occurrence. So, verb tense refers to the way a verb is a form to communicate when an action or occurrence take place. You may not be aware, though, that there are 6 verb tenses. So, first is the present tense. Yun yung familiar. Kasi expresses an action or occurrence happening right now. So, the past tense, the past, happened in the past. The future, happened in the future. For example, sa present tense, I studied. Past tense, I studied. And the future tense is I will study. So, the rest is, we have perfect tenses, additional tenses, and they allow us to communicate that an action or occurrence has just recently happened or continues to happen. Yun yung, or place that action or occurrence in relation to separate action or occurrence. Yun yung the perfect tense. So next is the present perfect tense. Show that actions or occurrences that just taken place or is continuing to happen. Parang lang siyang perfect tense pero present. So the last one is the past part. Yun ba yung last? Di pala, ito pala. The past perfect tense. So show that an action or occurrence took place. Parang ganun-ganun din, combining. Action also in the past. And the last one is, we have what are misplaced modifiers and dangling. Dangling modifiers. So, modifiers modify and describe word and clauses, but incorrectly. They can modify the wrong words and clauses or nothing at all. So, sabi niya dito is, what is modify? When you're writing, you're the king of your kingdom, but your kingdom is an island. All those clues that you give and receive in everyday conversation are gone. So all of the information a person gets to understand what you're trying to get across has to be there on the page, and it has to be ordered in a way that makes sense. You can create any kind of arguments or reality that you want on the page, but it's your responsibility to make the reader understand you, or your thoughts and feelings won't have their intended effect. One way you can better ensure that your thoughts and feelings make sense and their intended effect is to recognize dangling and misplaced modifier. So what's a modifier? So sabi niya dito, a modifier is a word, phrase, or clause that modify or describe another word. So an adjective modifier is an adjective or adverb. So are modifiers because they change the meaning or add details to another word. So for example dito naman example hindi pala example hey. Sabi niya dito is sabi niya, the fisherman left his sack of leaf bait on the dock. Kung ililipat natin yung mga now take this misplaced adverb modified. We ran from the hideous mountain. Mutant. Ay, hindi pala yun. Sorry. Wala na pala. Thank you po. Thank you, ma'am.